Hi you guys. Today I wanted to share with you my CBT and counseling journey. I know my videos are really long and I'm trying to work on that, but if there's any video that I really want you guys to watch fully, the whole thing, and really absorb and think about, it's this one. This is the number one tool that's changed my life. So I'm really passionate about this because I believe it's the number one thing that made the biggest difference in my life and my RA overall. Number two actually would be diet, and that's a pretty strong statement, I think, because the diet changed my life and I would be in a really bad way without it. So CBT is something that everyone should look into and learn. It's a really powerful and life-changing tool. And I'm also sharing for my benefit because I need to remember where I've come from. And it's one of the tools I use to stay on track. When we forget where we come from, it's so easy to go back to where you were. And that's been proven to me. When I forget my past, it can easily be repeated. So in my last video, I talked a bit about my emotional state. My teenage and early adult years, from ages 15 to 22, half the time I was in denial. I didn't want to accept my diagnosis. And then the other half of the time, reality would hit me and I'd become extremely depressed, very anxious, fearful of the future, and I was angry at God and the world. I lived in constant pain, fatigue, and my mind would be constantly tempted by thoughts of suicide, just to make it stop. I drank, smoked to temporarily ease that emotional and the physical pain. Over time, as I grew and matured and my brain actually fully developed, I saw that my lifestyle wasn't filling that hole inside me. And I wanted to stop drinking, I wanted to stop smoking. That's how I learned how to cope. I tried on willpower alone. I'd quit for a little while and I'd always give in when things got harder. And the longer it went on, the more hopeless I became. I do want to say though, in that time, I do feel really blessed that I had my mom to validate my pain. But even so, I felt very alone. I felt like no one really understood me, and no amount of positive thinking or temporary escape really made it any better. And I believe it's extremely important that people with chronic pain diseases are validated, not understood, because the only people that's going to ever understand are the people that actually live with the challenges we do. People that don't understand can validate us in saying that our pain and discomfort is legitimate, even if they don't understand, and love us where we're at. People like us that live with extreme discomfort every day, from pain to fatigue, sleepless nights, side effects from drugs that a lot of people have to take to function. Every single day is a challenge, and it takes strong mental fortitude and perseverance, just tenacity to face that. And also this. Everyone has struggles, and our struggles might be worse than others, and we have an easier time than some other people. And that doesn't mean that our pain isn't legitimate, or that someone else's pain that we perceive as less than ours isn't legitimate. I used to do that a lot. Someone would complain about their life or tell me something they're struggling with, and in my head I was unempathetic because I would compare it to my own, and I would see my own pain as worse than theirs, and it was a way that I had kind of learned how to cope and like be a victim in my own head. And it's really easy for us that live with that daily pain to trivialize other people's pain and hardship that we deem as lesser. And they're having struggles and hardship too, and it just looks different than ours. And that doesn't mean that their pain isn't legitimate or shouldn't be validated. So when my dad got cancer for the second time in my early 20s, I wanted to change, and I saw that I was wasting time. I didn't want to escape anymore because every moment with my dad was precious. I began to appreciate and have a more intense love for my family, and saw that good can come from suffering. I was changing. What I valued was changing, and I realized that my life circumstances made me really bitter. So I began CBT counseling a year after my dad died. I had reached such a high stress level that I couldn't cope with daily tasks anymore. And I was really angry at God. I was angry that I lost so much. I had unresolved grief. The loss of my father, and from what RA took from me. And us that have serious health challenges, I think we can forget sometimes, just because we're in it, that dealing with a loss, we're dealing with the loss of dreams, ambitions, our health, and it's okay to grieve that loss and be sad about it. The problem was that I stayed there and I was stuck being a victim of RA. So I began counseling, and my counselor challenged me to think from a different perspective. And he made me aware of like my anxiety and how I could reduce it. He pinpointed problems in my way of thinking, and got to the core of many issues, and then gave me tools to change them. He gave me tools that helped me stick to my strict diet and take action. And that was something I was never able to be consistent in. And because of this, my pain has been greatly reduced. He helped me completely remove addictions from my life. And I was made aware of all the fears that were just controlling me every day, at every moment. Fears that stopped me from pursuing my passions. So then I'd feel purposeless because I felt like I wasn't doing anything with myself. He challenged me to face those fears, and that was work on my part. He didn't do this for me. I did it. With his help, and I feel like I feel like God helped me. He helped me to see hope in the midst of suffering and new ways to cope with my stress. And I cannot say enough the importance of CBT and going to a counselor. My perspective and beliefs has been the most important part of coping and facing the daily challenges of my disease. And I want to encourage you to seek help, and don't allow your pride to stop you from saying, I need help. I can't do it on my own. I couldn't have done it on my own. I'm proud to say that. It takes strength to admit that we need help. And I'm glad I did, because I've been transformed by it. It's only going to help things, and I wish you guys could have seen me before and how dark and angry I was compared to now. So before counseling, I didn't know how to change. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know really what was wrong with me. I knew I was just angry and sad and depressed, and like I had OCD, and you can't change. You can't work to change if you don't recognize and understand the problem. It was like I was trying to control everyone and everything around me so I could feel more in control of my own life. because I felt out of control. I felt like my health was out of control, like I couldn't make it better. Anyway, CBT counseling helped me understand why I was the way I was. And my focus used to be on just loss and the bad. Shit-colored lenses is the best way to describe it. So with help, I've now taken those off. I can acknowledge the shit and also enjoy the blessings and be at peace with the things I do have. And I now have, I now have an understanding of the stress and struggle I face daily and how to cope with it properly. So without using the tools my counselor taught me, some of which are living in the moment, counting the light, that's, being thankful for what I do have, being self-aware, I can easily slip back into old ways of thinking, which lead to harmful behaviors, using things to cope, like drinking or smoking or even food, or trying to control things in my life that I can't control, but I feel like I need to control, right? And this is an ongoing lifestyle change. I have to use my tools, and it's work, but it's worth it. And it's a daily choice to be aware of my thoughts and be proactive. To control harmful thoughts that lead to anxiety. I think that one of my biggest fears is getting to the end of my life and feeling like I wasted it, feeling depressed and angry about my health and things that I have no control over. How we perceive ourselves and others and what happens to us affects what choices we make. Through counseling, I realized I felt victimized. I had expectations of how my life was going to go, and when circumstances happened and things didn't go the way I wanted, I held my happiness and joy hostage. And I would think all the time, when my health gets better, when my marriage gets better, when circumstances and people do what I want them to, then I'll be able to be happy and be at peace. And what I realize now is what I was doing was I was wishing my life away. I remember my dad telling me that once, and that really stuck with me. He would say, I'd be complaining, like, if I could just do this, or if I could, do this or achieve this, then I'd be happy and I'd be at peace with myself. And he'd say, Shawna, don't wish your life away. And so I want to encourage you to find joy and light in what you have right now, because the now is all we have. And to look at the whole picture, your whole life, the good just as much as the bad. I think it's human to have 100 wonderful things happen in a day and focus on 2 things that went wrong. And if you only focus on the bad, you rob your present of joy. There's always going to be suffering and pain and loss. So through CBT, I can now create joy, be thankful for what I have, and believing that I'm not a victim. I'm not powerless. My life is not hopeless. And when we play the victim, it stops us from seeing our situation as something we can make better or change. I don't believe that I can cure my RA, but I do believe that there are many, many things I can do to make my situation better. When I had that victim mentality, I couldn't move forward. I was stuck. as that hopeless, helpless person, and it intensified and made the pain worse, like the physical pain worse. It made the depression worse, and it just didn't help in any way. I still have to remind myself that everyone goes through life with struggles, and no one's going to go without it. Counseling brought me to a place of saying enough's enough. I'm not a victim. I'm going to seek help. And something I've noticed is that no growth of character has ever happened when times have been easy. At least not for me. It took my dad's death for me to get to the place where I finally sought out help. And I often ask myself, why did it have to come to that point for me to come to the end of myself? So this is where it gets really good. I used to believe that my disease has only taken from me. But I've come to realize that my disease and struggles has actually given me more than I ever thought. It enables me to help others, speak to you, and then my life isn't all about me, and it helps me focus on the importance of relationships and love. I've chosen a different perspective on this, and a lot of the time, if I choose to, I can see my pain and suffering as a blessing. And I wouldn't be the person I am today without it. You wouldn't be the person you are today without it. I wouldn't have refined character or be as compassionate for people that suffer. And please don't misunderstand me. RA has taken things from me. And I grieve that, and I grieve that weekly. I would never deny that. But it has been, and it's been one of the biggest challenges in my life. But it has also given me a lot as well. And I will never deny that either. And I didn't come to that place until counseling. We can't control what happens to us. That's not for us to decide. All we can do is decide what to do with the time that's been given to us. And I've accepted that I don't have certainty of my future, but I do have right now. I do have this moment, and I try my best to keep my eyes on the light. The little beautiful things that can so easily be overlooked in our daily lives, and the people around me. And perspective is so interesting. Sometimes I ponder this. There can be two people with the identical set of problems. One can be mostly miserable on a daily basis, and the other mostly joyful. And it's not that the circumstances in their lives are different. It's all about the perspective they take on their challenges. And the story that they tell themselves about their life can create harmful or beneficial beliefs, and our beliefs dictate our perspective, and our perspective dictates our thoughts and behaviors. Here's a summary of the tools that I use. I hope that they can be of use to you. That being said, I don't think it's a substitute for counseling. Okay. These are my tools. So one is I focus on what I can do. Focus on what I can give to others. I practice thankfulness daily. So that's, to me, that's focusing on the light, the little things that bring me joy, and just really focusing on what I do have, not on what I don't have. I often will flip my perspective, and to describe this, I'm talking about flipping your perspective from usually your automatic perspective, for example, is say you're having a flare and it stops you from your plans of going bowling with your friends. Perspective number one is usually that automatic thought that comes straight away, that's something like, RA takes everything from me. That's a perspective to take, yes. Is that 100% truth? No, that's not 100% truth. It doesn't take everything from me. So another perspective I can take is, RA took away this bowling opportunity with my friends today, yes. But RA also gives me a lot of opportunities to journal, to do some inner thinking, to rest, to enjoy relaxing. It sucks that I can't go out with them today, but instead of being miserable about what I can't change and what I can't do today, I'm going to focus on what I can do. And then you're going to focus on things you can do that day, and move forward instead of being bitter and angry about what it took from you. So a few other things that I do is I do things that feed my soul. Things that are just me, that feed that part of me that just, if that's Shawna, for me, that's nature, that's going out for walks in the woods, that's animals, that's mushroom picking, that's journaling, working with my houseplants, spending time and having tea with people that I love, and giving to them, making them a meal, going talking to them about how they're feeling, how their life's going. I love having soul talk with people. I love knowing their soul and their inner thoughts. That's me. Another thing is I have to work through my stress. When I have a trigger of stress, I deal with it in a healthy way using CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and thought work. And to do that, I have to be self-aware. So I'm taking time to think, how am I feeling? What is going on in my mind? What automatic thoughts am I having? What are my worries? What are things that are going well in my life? What are things that, are just what's going on in there, right? Take the time to evaluate my thoughts. It's so important. I take time meditating. I'll listen to rain soundtracks that help me just calm and be at peace. I will relive wonderful memories if I'm in a really bad spot, or relive something that was beautiful and wonderful memory. So that's what I do, and I hope that you can apply some of those things. If you have questions, please ask. I want to help. And in closing, I have some questions for you. I guess I'll know if you watched the whole video or not, because maybe you'll answer my questions. So here they are. I'd love it if you'd post down below the answers to these. What are the ways you cope with stress? And does it help you or harm you? And the second question is, what is the narrative you tell yourself about your disease? Do you view your disease as only negative? And is there anything positive that's come out of your health challenges? And the last question is, do you use any of the tools that I mentioned in your own life? And how has it helped you? And how has it changed your life? Okay, so thank you for listening. I'm really looking forward to hearing your answers. I think this is a really good exercise for everyone to do, every once in a while, just to evaluate, how are you coping? What do you use? And how do you view your disease? Because that dictates how you live your life. Okay. Anyways, have a good day. Thanks again. Bye.